So, good evening, everyone, and a very happy Independence Day today to all of you. So, we have here with ourselves Sandeep Khaitan and Rashmin Kulekar. Sandeep Khaitan, I'll just give a very short introduction. He's a all India ranker in Chartered Accountancy exam, and he's right now a partner in Ernst and Young, and a national leader for FAAS, like Financial Advisory Services. Uh, Here we have another Rashmin Bhaiya, as we call him, प्यार से, and he's an international art of living faculty, very renowned faculty and a youth icon. He's also an international fight rated chess player, and also a TEDx speaker. So we'll start with the session here. This expert speaks on CA journey and mind matters. So just to open the session here, let me just start with Sandeep sir. Sir, you have been into this journey from a quite long period, the CA journey, and probably a perfect example for all of us who are pursuing. Myself, also a chartered accountant, recently qualified after a lot of attempts, and I'm also a meditator. So I was very much looking forward to such a session wherein I can have Rashmin Bhaiya as well as you, so on same platform. So this is like, sir, Sandeep sir, this can you just start with your background as to you also must have gone through lots of ups and downs in your CA journey. It wouldn't have been that easy. There must be certain sacrifices and certain people who would be there for you to support. So just start with something of your background. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jigar. And
Yeah.
again, a warm welcome to everyone, and happy Independence Day to all. I'm glad to be part of this conversation, and thanks, Rashmin, for doing this together, and Jigar for hosting us. So, to give you a quick background into my kind of journey, I'm now 2 decades of going to complete as a chartered accountant. So, it's been a fantastic journey, is what I can say, and I think this has been full of ups and downs all the years. So, in terms of my education background, I've kind of studied most of my early days in Kendriya Vidyalaya. And then I moved to Calcutta, and I did my +2 in science. So I was not actually a commerce student. So I wanted to be a doctor and engineer, right? When I was in school, and I also used to kind of spend a lot of time doing sports. So I used to play badminton a whole lot. But then I realized, look, possibly medical or engineering is not my cup of tea, because we have a lot of kind of elders in the family who are chartered accountants and been doing reasonably well. So I think that was clearly a motivation for me to be a chartered accountant, and being a Marwadi, we understand a bit of commerce as well. So I think, and then I moved to Calcutta back in 1995, did my graduation and then articleship, and then kind of did chartered accountancy. And the key is that coming in from a science background to commerce was with, its host of challenges. The fundamental thing which possibly helped me, and I was not a great student also. So when I look at some of the kids today, they scored like 95% and they are still disappointed. So I scored like 68% in my class 10, and in 68% in class 12. So pretty kind of ordinary, right, compared to today's standard. But when I kind of started on my graduation journey, and kind of started my chartered accountancy, so I was kind of pretty clear in my mind, look, this is where now I want to focus on. And I spent a great deal of time picking up and studying and all of that. So we used to a bunch of friends who living together. So four of us, me, my younger brother, and my cousin, and his brother, and then joined by a few of our friends as well. So I spent those 5 years in Calcutta, in different parts of Calcutta, and used to study 12 to 14 hours a day, in a way, of course, along with many other things you're supposed to do. So that in a way helped me to kind of get my focus right. And then I did my CA inter with rank. I did my company secretaryship. I did my graduation also with the merit list of the Calcutta University. And then I did my CA final also with a rank. And in fact, I had to miss my term because my father passed away in between in an accident. So that was a setback. But fortunately, we never had to struggle on finance. So that way, we all as a family were really fortunate that despite that huge setback in our life, it was always okay in terms of being supported financially, right? That helped to my mind big time, that we were able to focus on study and continue with the study. So my elder brother, of course, played a big role in kind of continuation of the business of the family. Did my CA, and then I moved to Delhi. I had two offers at that time, one with the public sector and the other one with HCL Technologies. So I was fortunate that HCL, in a way, landed up in Calcutta for the CA campus, right? And then I joined HCL Technologies, and then straight away into a US gap practice. So HCL at that point in time, like many IT technologies company, were looking to do an US IPO. And I was straight into that thick of action. They couldn't list in US. They ended up listing in Indian market. But that whole kind of experience helped me to be a very good accountant, and I kind of picked up my passion in accounting from that day onward. And then I moved to KPMG back in 2004, practiced accounting, started advising companies doing US GAAP, auditing US GAAP, and then I made partner in KPMG, and then moved on to Ernst& Young back in 2013. And then for 7 years, again, here I'm helping companies deal with accounting reporting, and all of that. So the key is that of this whole journey, to my mind, is that you got to stay focused. You got to continuous kind of a sense of learning, and continuous sense of building trust with all among all your stakeholders for your growth. I think that's what is my journey all along.
Right, right. So, I guess we'll start with Rashmin Bhaiya now. A very common issue which we are facing right now during this pandemic is how to handle our mind. Basically, everyone is having some issues or other. There's nobody who is left out in this situation. So, in this situation, with our topic also being mind matters, what do you think how to handle this pandemic? Rashmin Bhaiya, over to
Ah.
you.
See, first, we need to, like we always say in the art of living, that the quality of life, our life, it depends on the state of our mind. You know? So, this pandemic has made us realize that. Maybe, many people, like I've been conducting these online programs of meditation, and many people said that thanks to this lockdown, I learned meditation. Otherwise, I would have never learned because I was so occupied with my daily schedules and all. So first thing is realizing that we all are always consciously trying to enhance the quality of our life. So we normally differentiate between standard of living and quality of life. You can have a very high standard of living, but not necessarily that guarantees a good quality of life. Quality of life I mean that how peaceful within you are, and how happy you are. What are your vibrations? How is your presence? How less stressed we are, and all these other things. So this depends on the state of mind mainly. So this realization itself does most of the job. That okay, if I want to improve the quality of my life, I need to learn about the rules and the do's and don'ts about how to keep the mind in that state of pleasantness, more in the present moment, and less worrying about the future. So this is where the practices come into play. We say normally two things: dhyan or gyan. There is a knowledge about the outside world, and there is a knowledge about the inside dimension, about the tendencies of the mind. Like in Patanjali, Maharshi Patanjali says, na, chitta vritti nirodha. All these tendencies, restraining them so that you consolidate inside, the energy consolidates. Then it becomes, you feel very strong from within. I normally teach students a lot. So some certain statistics that are going on now they are really alarming. Like just in the year 2018, 10,000 youth committed suicide in India. That's like a huge number. Like I was shocked when I heard about this. There's an article in Times of India and about this growing number of suicides and depression cases. So when I'm teaching in colleges, last 10 years I've seen a lot of people coming saying that I have anxiety issues, I have insomnia, because this, like how there is, when you're, like for example, you're a chartered accountant, there must be some basic fundamentals of accounting that you learn, and that is the foundation. On that you build your knowledge, isn't it? But if the foundation is weak, then there is a struggle, or because of apna ye bhumi pakki nahi hai. Yeah. So in the same way, if you want to live the life successfully in this way, that being happy and all these things, so I normally tell these youngsters that to build a strong foundation, and uh, that is where meditation and these breathing practices come into play, where we at least see to it that the stress does not pile up. Some people say that अरे stress तो आएगा ही यार, इंसान है तो, but ऐसे हाँ stress तो आएगा ही, लेकिन at least can you see that the stress does not pile up, and you can have a vent out or a release or a let out for the stress as and when it comes, so that it does not pile up. वो carry forward नहीं होना चाहिए. That's the point. So this pandemic, I mean, this kind of situations is a good opportunity to go inwards and to learn all these things about our own self, about how the mind functions. And our Vedic literature is so fascinating. Like, for example, I just give you a small example before I finish. There is 3 things that are said to build a strong foundation by Maharshi Patanjali. And they are so unique and they are universal. They can apply for any field, any stream. He said, Dirgha Kal, long duration you need to focus. Abhi kya hota hai? So people are very enthusiastic only in the beginning when they do something. But when there are some obstacles, they come, when the failures they come, they get out of it. So Dirgha Kal, the practice has to be for a long period of time, and Nairantarya, without any break. Like hearing your success story, Sandeepji's success story, I can see that he has been for a long time equally focused. Otherwise, this kind of success, amazing success, is not possible without a break. ऐसा नहीं कि चलो 2 months suddenly there was a lot of enthusiasm, then 3 months distraction. No. Dirgha Kala Nairantarya, and one amazing thing, when Sandeepji is talking, there is so much of passion for what he does in life. And that is the third thing, Satkara Sevito. You have reverence or a lot of respect
It's 6:15.
for the subject that you are into. So these 3 things make success. And I think this is the opportunity to use to meditate and also build a strong foundation for our inner dimension. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's it.
So, Sandeepji, you would like to say something on stress, like Rashmi said, like how have you dealt the stress throughout your life? Like, what is it so important to manage the stress and balance between the professional and the spiritual, or whatever life, like basically family life we go through?
Right. See, I think to me, stress is very relative, right? And the way I kind of try and manage stress, let me guys kind of look at it differently. Why do you get stress, right? The reason you have stress is because you try to often compare yourself with someone else. That's one fundamental reason, that is why you ended up having stress. The second reason of having stress is that you're always trying to possibly meet expectations of others. So are you actually living for someone else? or are you actually trying to always compare to someone else? So if you're living in that moment that I'm actually trying to compare myself with XYZ, and that X or Y or Z has this or that, which I don't have, or I want that, or I need to do this or do that for someone else, I think that's where you, as what Rashman also said, you keep on piling up the pressure on yourself. And if you learn to live in the moment and also at the same time look what's ahead of you, I am sure that you will be able to actually deflect lots of stress which is coming your way. And the fundamental thing is why you need to be stressed. Just think about it, right? When we were going to office, people were stressed about that, I don't want to come to office, I want to be at home, my kids are alone, and I want to take care of them, and I want to do this, I want to do that. Now when we are working from home, now we're saying I want to be out there in office. So the fundamental problem with all of us is that what you have is you don't value, and what you don't have is always you look to have that, and you want to have that in your life. Once you have it, again, you don't value that. So the key to my mind for us to manage stress, and that's how I have always looked at stress management, is that value what you have, and then try and keep on building on what you can achieve, or you can help others to achieve. Also try and see help others to achieve. And it's not necessary to always look up to people who have done very well in life for you to also believe that you've also done very well in your life. You got to look at people who are below you in a way. And again, there's nobody, so to say, below or above you. But I'm just saying everything in the relative context that so you make certain.
Maybe less fortunate than you were.
Yeah, less
Maybe
fortunate.
less fortunate than you were. Less
Yeah,
privileged.
that's an appropriate word. Less privileged, yeah, or less fortunate. So somebody who's less fortunate. So all of us, and especially in a country like India where we have 130 crore people, all of us are privileged that we've got access to the right kind of education. You're born in a right kind of family. We have access to all basic things. What we all need. So I'm just saying it is a state of mind, as exactly what Rasmin said, that you got to live in the moment and look ahead, and try and help, and that will help you to get rid of stress fundamentally, to my mind, and kind of be happy in the moment you are.
Yes, very true, sir. This is like we wanted to hear something of this. Like we actually feel in that way only, like as to how to approach. Here we are getting few questions, and there is one question like which is there always, like because of this stress and all is there, but this CA students has this academic pressure like throughout, right from the foundation. Like chalo foundation तो it is okay still, but inter से तो pressure starts building up, and उस time पे we don't focus on the soft skill part. Nowadays ICA has also introduced GMCS part 1, which is done after our inter, and thereafter after final it is GMCS part 2. But majorly ये soft skills का focus is on just cracking the interview. Like we generally CA students have this tendency कि ना pass करना ही है तो पहले पास करो, फिर कम्युनिकेशन, कॉन्फिडेंस, फोकस ये सब देखेंगे. So this problem was there with me also before joining Art of Living, but I guess I was lucky enough to join beforehand and clearing. It helped me clear my exams also because that focus and all came up. So how important do you think? Like this question goes for both of you. Like, what do you think? कि कैसे this thing is important in before for all CA students, before clearing that, only for that interview part. मतलब पहले से ही थोड़ा preparation on soft skills. So I
Right.
guess
You go ahead, and then I can add to
No,
your
you can.
point
You
of
can.
view.
Since I think it is specific to CA students, so I think it's better if you can.
Sure. So I'll just kind of share my kind of experience, right? So I think what is important. Let's say when I did my CA back in 2000, right? I did my most of schooling was a mix of Hindi and English medium. And again, as I said, I born and brought up in Bihar, studied in Calcutta. So I was also not great from a communication standpoint perspective. That I had to actually practice a lot for me to be able to crack an interview process, right? But what I was fundamentally very good at, and what we expect when we meet youngsters, right, is that you have to be very good at what you're supposed to be doing. So if you're supposed to be a chartered accountant, then you got to be good at what is expected out of a chartered accountant, right? And so you got to be clear in terms of your concepts around accounting, taxation, and the most important thing which I see is that how do you be able to think with a perspective. So you need to be able to develop a perspective for any situation you are in, and be able to have discussion around that topic, be able to build around that conversation. So that is going to be fundamentally very, very important for you to build your personality, and again to come out very, very confidently in any conversation process. The second is communication is the most important element of after examination. So it goes without saying that you got to clear the exam, right? I mean, if you've not been able to clear the exam, that's another kind of hurdle you need to deal with all along. But you have to clear the exam. But along with that process, you've got to acquire good communication skills, right? And good communication skills, along with an ability to demonstrate perspective in diverse areas, right? Be it politics, be it sports, be it general affairs, be it what's going around in studies, what's happening with children's, what's happening in stock market, what's happening around the world, what's happening in the world of technology. So what you need to be doing, you need to be very good at what you're supposed to be, which is, let's say, accounting, taxation, or a subject area which you want to practice, moving ahead in life. And then you've got to be able to develop this perspective around many things, and that will help you in a way to be successful, or to be able to engage in any conversation in a very productive way. Asmin, over to you for your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that you're saying. Oh, like most of the being an art of living faculty, I get a chance to meet a lot of people, a lot of success people who are professionally doing very well and successful. And in all those people, I've seen one common thing, that they have a overall blossom personality. It's not a one-dimensional personality anytime with what I've seen. Like I've taught sports top sportsmen of India, or any businessman, anyone like that. When I interact with, I see that is the difference. Like as you said, you are used to play badminton, then so many other things are there at the facets. That is what brings success. So I think this kind of linear thinking, पहले मैं ये कर लूँगा, फिर मैं बाकी का देख लूँगा.
Yeah.
That does not sound very cool, actually.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
they did a research also when they had included music and arts also as part of the curriculum, not as like a optional extracurricular activity. The students' grades in mathematics and science improved.
Right.
Their performance academically improved, because I think sir, there's left brain and a right brain. Like,
Yeah.
brain is logic and calculation and this, and right brain is more of creativity and all these things, communication skills and all these other things. So even Shri Ravi Shankar ji says that especially people who are dealing with lot with numbers, they should definitely have some right brain activity also to balance.
Yeah.
And that will help both. That will also help your performance as a chartered accountant, because you can become more intuitive. That is why intuition, they call it mid-brain activity.
Mm-hmm.
It's mid-brain. So that means both your brains are balanced. It is not just like lopsided. And then the intuitive ability also comes, which I'm definitely helps in academics also, because you have some kind. We always in exams use some kind of intuition. Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Rashminveer, you just said that restraining the modulations of mind is very important as to. So, do you think this also helps in the later stage of our life, as any, it's not just about the CA journey, but any person, this modulations of mind to help us?
See what we do in model, when mind is less scattered, you're consuming energy, right? You're consuming your energy. So that is obviously going to help in every aspect of your life.
Because I guess I had been meditating from probably past 2 years on a very consistent basis. Probably I haven't missed a day, if I, as far as I
Oh,
remember, and it has helped me a lot. At least earlier I used to be a little tensed before the exams, but that helped me calm my mind, and probably that is why the retention capacity increased in me in whatever I was studying. So I guess these CA students also, we all feel this uh, quite similar while we are studying, and probably I also had no guidance at that time. So
see,
this
we
also
need
helped. Yeah.
see we need to see
Yes,
it
sir.
like that. It is like uh, going to a gym. See, now if I have a body, I don't have any issues, right? मेरा ठीक ठाक है. I don't have, but going to a doctor and going to a gym, there is a difference. So both is for the sake of the body. One is out of compulsion, maybe it is out of emergency, or it can be. One is out of choice, that I want to enhance my health. So I can run 1 kilometer or maybe 500 meters. Now I can run 3 kilometers. So I have enhanced my health. It was not a necessity, but it was a process of enhancing. So normally, why I'm telling you this, because many of the I also had this. My friends had this. When I used to tell them, "Arey, why don't you learn meditation?" They say, "अरे मेरे को depression कोई हुआ है क्या meditate करने को बोल रहा है?" I'm happy. Many people say, "अरे I'm happy." मतलब मेरे को कुछ problem नहीं है. So people think that अरे कुछ problem होगा, कुछ depression होगा, फिर ये सब चीज करने का रहता है, art of living वगैरह. मैं बोलता अरे ऐसा नहीं है. तुम जहां पर भी हो वहां से और मतलब if you are fantastic, you will become super fantastic, isn't it? So, it is a very universal thing, and it will help in all aspects of life. Yes, all stages of life and all aspects of life.
So there are questions coming up here. There's this one question, I guess. How do you maintain a balance between your personal and professional life and stay updated with each and every information about the different day-to-day financial and taxation matters, along with the responsibility and accountability of so many clients who base their decision on our opinion or suggestions? So I
This
guess
question is
Sandeep,
definitely not for me. I
for
can
sure.
reverse.
Sure. Sure. No, I think I'll give you my perspective. So basically, I think the key is what I said. Again, you don't need to know everything. All right. This is not expected out of any professional in any field. But what again is important is that you need to know your subject for which you want to be known for in the marketplace. So if I am an accounting expert, I need to be good at being accounting, whether it's IFRS or US GAAP or Indian GAAP, from that perspective. But what I also need to know that if I am in conversation with my clients are not going to only, or for me, what is most important is to build trust in your conversation with your client. And your clients are not only going to ask you about accounting related problems, they want to ask you anything and everything in relation to their business, right?
It's 6:30.
And when they were to ask you anything about their business, one important, as I said, that you got to be able to have perspective around many different elements of challenges which we deal in terms of our personal and kind of professional life, right? And you also need to know people who can actually help the client to deal with a particular situation for which you are not the expert, but you need to know who can help and then position that individual in front of the client as a trusted advisor. So don't try to start solving all problems by yourself, because you're not going to be good in everything, right? So I think what's important is that how do you again identify the right set of advisors to be in front of your client, so the client is then going to trust you. Look, Sandeep is going to get me the best of the advice, best of the professionals, if I were to go to him and kind of discuss this situation with him. That's one. The second is that how do you keep yourself updated, right? So the most important thing which I always looked at is that you need to first shut out a lot of things which are not relevant, right? So how do you just kind of let's not focus on politics. Politics means politics, not of the Indian politics or international politics. Politics around in your activities or what you do or what you don't do. just shut them out, because that just doesn't help. Let's not focus on gossip. As I said, it just doesn't help. Let's not focus on what someone else has done, or what you can do or not do. That just doesn't help. The question is that what is it you need to be relevant in what you are doing today, and what is it you need to be relevant in what when you look ahead. And are you working in an organization or a setup, whether it's your own setup or in an organization setup, which is helping you grow, right? And growth can also growth has all dimensions. Growth need not always be vertically. Growth can also be horizontally, right? So are you kind of growing in terms of acquiring knowledge, in terms of being a better professionals, in terms of be a better individual? So if you look at all of that, that is what is going to help you to or has helped me in terms of managing my personal and professional experience, building a balance about the same, trying to stay updated as to what's happening around us, and not shying away in terms of acknowledging, look, I don't know this. If I don't know this and I need to know this, then I'm happy to invest that time to acquire that knowledge or engage in conversation with individuals who do have that kind of knowledge, and then try and position myself in every different situation. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. There is one more question here, which is like, how do we learn to actually build a strong mind on giving exams each time after failing? Because I guess this is very much something even I had faced. Because every time I
Mm-hmm.
used to fail, and I don't know how to take the next step, and whether I should give the exam or I should quit and move to something else. And overall, how to build a strong mind to just go for it. It's just not only on a CA mindset, or the sometimes these motivational sessions or speakers also, some video for 5-10 minutes we watch, but it's just very temporary. Something on a long term which helps. So I guess this question also goes open. Rashminder, whether you like to start with this?
Ah, mm, yeah. See, failures are a part of everyone's life. So the point is about, again, like in in like what I tell people is that it is all about the game of energy. We always say now, when the energy is low, we call that word called pran shakti. If you notice, it's a very simple experience of every person in life. When your pran shakti is very low, when you're basically physically tired, mentally exhausted, your brain is also tired thinking, and then what kind of thoughts come? You'll see negative thoughts come. Even if you try to do something, a lot of doubts come, and these doubts come on all the positive things. We start doubting more our abilities, not our inabilities. We are so sure what we cannot do, not so sure what we can do. So this is the result of a low energy, low prana. What you rightly said, Jigar, that motivational talks just feels nice for some time, but long term ke liye kya? That
Right.
is why we discussed that okay, now if you notice that, and I have experienced this many times, like when I did my art of living course and I learned the Sudarshan Kriya and all, and when I used to go to play a chess tournament, sometimes we had two games, morning and evening. So morning game, if you are lost, then the evening game would be very tough, because you're just like, it will be a classical games are very long in chess, like 5 hours. So you're sitting in a chair for 4 or 5 hours and you lose. It is like very unpleasant. And then you have lunch and quickly the next game starts. So in between this, like, when I used to practice Sudarshan Kriya, because what happens, my energy has gone low, because 5 hours I'm actually thinking, it's very tiring. It's exhausting actually, not just tiring. And then only thing that would help me is to build my energy level back. So when the pran shakti is again upar उठ जाता है वो, then somehow you again start seeing hope and start taking good decisions. So, and we always say, the breath is the main source of energy. So that is why since ancient times, there is so much emphasis on this pranayams and breathing techniques. This is a very scientific thing. We are using only 30% of our lung capacity.
Yeah.
Then the lungs are if you stretch the lungs, they can cover an entire lawn tennis court. That is how stretchable they are. So when I started, like somebody, people ask me, Nare, how you do? Like, how come you're always smiling? Or how you like? So I just say that I breathe more than you. That's a very simple fact. And when students do this, like, but I also have one question for Sandeep sir.
Yeah.
That some of them, like I know, they ask me because I'm doing CA and all that. So there's a difference between being optimistic and being little impractical, stuff like that. So can you give any basic guidelines, like for some people are just giving the exams again and again and not clearing? It's like, but this is, I asking because I have encountered such people, and I don't know what to tell them. Like, how do they decide that, chalo yaar, now this is going to be my last attempt and I can do something else in life. This is not the end of
Yeah.
the world type. But how, is there any basic guidelines you would like to say that, like how you decided that okay, science is not for me, something like that you said in the beginning,
Yes. Yes.
um, and then you decided to do this. So you did 2 years of science, and then you changed. So what made you take that decision? First thing, and second thing is, what would be your advice to students? How long they should pursue in case of failure?
Awesome. So I think I will kind of just trying to break this into two, as you said, that if you're not able to clear the exam, to my mind, what you need to do to get it right, is what I would just kind of quickly talk about, and then what happened with me when I actually changed, what I wanted to do possibly. So I think the way I would say, and I've also failed. It's not that, as I said, though I was a rank holder in inter and charter, inter and final. While I was doing my company secretaryship, in one of the groups I failed actually, right? But I cleared the finals, both groups together, finally. So, but I kind of missed, right? It happens with all of us. I think what is important is to reflect, as I said again, and as what Rashmin also said, that go within, right? It's not about blaming others as to why I have failed. When we see that I have failed, I'll say, the papers were tough. The guy who possibly looked at my paper, he may be in a foul mood, or the question, this is not the way to set up the questions, and we can find 100 reasons for failure, right? I think what is most important for us, to my mind, for us to introspect, that what is it I have done over last 4 critical months of my exam preparation, which I now need to do differently, for example. So you got to actually reflect on how have you actually gone about this whole preparation for the purpose of examination, and is that something which is like top of the class? Is this what you're best? This is what you can do the best, right? And once you reflect on that, and you got to write it down, right? You just can't you got to, of course, do a lot of mind interaction within your mind, but you got to write it down to say, what is it I've done in last 4 months, right? And now if I were to reappear for the exam, or I have a chance to do it again, which you have, fortunately, right? Many times you don't even have a chance to do it again, but here you have a chance to do it again. So if I have a chance to do it again, how am I going to do it differently so that I'm able to clear that hurdle? So you got to reflect on that, and then you got to refresh your strategy, and then go and get it, and do it. And it is doable. It's like, in fact, I'll say, when we used to clear, when we were doing CA, the pass percentage was 5 to 10%. Today, I have access to some of the data. The pass percentage are in excess of 25%, because the number of students who are enrolling for CA has come down significantly from 2000 to 2020, right? But the number of CAs who are coming out mostly are the same. Is because the percentage of output has increased compared to the kind of input to the profession. So you need to have that confidence in your mind that you should be able to do this, and it is many of these things, of course. It's not that everybody is going to do it, and what Rasmin, you said, right? Not everyone is going to do it. End of the day, still we're going to have a percentage of our students who may not be able to clear this. And the most important thing for them also, the guys who will not be able to clear this, is that is not the end of the world. Absolutely, this is not the end of the world, that if you're not going to clear it, you got to take a decision. For example, talking about myself, right? When I did my class 12 and I got like 68%, right? Um, that itself is a reflection that can I really compete in that state of readiness. So I was not ready to compete in IIT, for example, right? Or I was not ready to compete for a medical seat, from that perspective, because the whole my childhood focus on possibly education was not that great as possibly it should be for me to start competing and to crack IITs and IIMs and a medical examination at that point in time of my life, right? So then I reflected to say that, look, I need to spend more time and possibly kind of look at things which I understand better, and which I've seen people in my family that they've done well by doing that, and it is something which I'm giving time to myself. That means if I were to trying to do IIT at that point in time, I ended up doing coaching for 3 years, struggling, and may or may not be able to clear. And I said, look, I'm going to go do this graduation. Along with the graduation, I'm going to now aspire to be a chartered accountant. So I'm going to register myself for, CA or companies. I didn't study straight away for chartered accountancy, right? I only studied for company secretaryship to along with my graduation, because CS is easier than CA, right? That was the thinking. Let me first, try to do company secretaryship, and then along the way I realized, oh, I can do this and I can do that as well. So in a way, so all of that, you got to look at your own strengths and also consult. There is no, as I again said, there is no right or wrong answer for many of these things. But if you not been able to clear, that's absolutely not the end of the world. You have to again look at what are your strengths, what is it you are good at, and you got to talk to the right set of people. The most important thing is you got to talk to the right set of people, and talk to a set of people, who not afraid of giving you the right advice, in a way, right? Without the fear that if I were to give you this advice, that are you going to expect something from me? So go to somebody independent. You don't expect anything, right? Don't expect anything. Just have a very, very open conversation to say, look, this is what I have done, this is what I can do, this is what I'm good at, or this is what I want to do. Please help and guide as to what I should be doing. And there are many people, fortunately now today, there's a lot more information which is out there, right? Lot more avenues which is out there, which we never had access to while we were doing our studies, right? So there's a lot more is out there. Of course, there's a lot more clutter is also there. A lot more garbage is also there. So you've got to again find the right set of advisor to have that consultation. But there's nothing wrong in it for you to change your path if you're not able to kind of clear it after a reasonable amount of time. But to my mind, it's not to say that you will not be able to clear it. If you get it, if you focus it right, I don't think so that chartered accountancy as a curriculum is that difficult that we will not be able to clear it. So you've got to get it focused, figure out why you're not able to do it, and I'm sure you will be able to clear it, in due course. Hope that
It's 6:45.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll take few questions from the social media platform which we've got live from here. So one question is from Ashika Jain, and here she's written, "Hi Rashwin, you have been a chess player. What do you suggest to build a good IQ and EQ? Both of them is required as a CA to manage clients."
How to develop an IQ? EQ I can talk about. See, when the stress, when you meditate, what all happens? First of all, your intellect also becomes sharp. Okay. So because see, your communication becomes better. Because Gurudev says this, no, the silence. Only through silence the speech is more clear. If you want to make sense, it has to come from silence. So when we do this in the art of living, when we do this breathing techniques, the Sudarshan Kriya, and the advanced meditation program, where we also keep 2 days of silence and all these things. So what does that do to your personality? It definitely makes your intellect sharp. your decision making ability becomes better, your memory becomes better, and your intuitive ability also develops. So there is this one, see, we हम लोग बोलते हैं, जैसे हिंदी में आराम और विश्राम, ये दो अलग अलग शब्द है. तो आराम शरीर के लिए है, विश्राम इज विशेष आराम, which is dhyan. And unconsciously we do that. See, sometimes we, when you're doing too, you get too cluttered, too stressed, you just sit and you just close your eyes, just take a breath in and breathe out. ये होता है ना, अपने आप होता है, unconsciously होता है. Nature inflicts meditation to you for just few seconds. But if you do it consciously, if you learn and you do it consciously, then it has tremendous amount of benefits. EQ, IQ बोलो, सब कुछ. Intellect, buddhi, and again I also talk about the Sahaj Samadhi meditation, where I have heard this like from Gurudev that especially intellect sharp hone ke liye wo hai, where you do this, learn this 20 minutes of meditation. Wherever you are, you take a break, and this is like this call, we can call it mind gym. माइंड को जिम में लेके जाना है बस. और वो माइंड का जिम क्या है? विश्राम करना. Learning the skill to let go, learning the skill to relax.
Yes.
The deeper the rest, more dynamic is the activity and the sharper is the intellect. And if you are dynamic, your intellect is sharp, then obviously it is going to help you in your academics also and as a professional also. Because you will definitely be a more pleasant personality, your communication will be much better. Like I used to stammer when I was in school, so I was like a super introvert.
Yeah.
At that time, someone had told me that I'm going to be in a profession where I'm going to face the audience all the time. I'm going to talk. I'm going to be invited for TEDx talks and all these things. I will not like. कभी तो कुछ TEDx वगैरह कुछ था नहीं. मैं जब स्कूल में था, लेकिन I could not imagine being in a profession where I'm basically a stage person. Like I'm always presenting to an audience. So all these latent skills which we are not even aware of, they also start coming up. This is a big treasure. See, such an intelligent person called Shishi Ravi Shankar, if he's giving 18 hours a day to just integrate this practice of meditation amongst corporates below, all strata of society, there has to be something behind it, right?
Yeah.
And right
No,
now,
I will just add, I'll just add, Rashmin, to what you've been saying is that, the way I kind of look at how you can again improve on your IQ and EQ, and many of these things, of course, are gifted as well, right? But those and all of us are born with that gift. It's not that we're not born with that gift. It's only your ability to sharpen it as you kind of go along. And what I have again often experienced is that what always helps is that how do you do that introspection? And when you're trying to do that self introspection, you got to be honest to yourself. That is absolutely essential for your own growth. You got to be honest to yourself while you are doing your self introspection, that what you are good at, what you are not good at, how you develop perspectives. If you do that conversation with yourself more and more, and as you acquire more and more knowledge, and as you do more and more interaction, keep on internalizing the same, keep on talking to yourself, as what Rashmi was also saying. I think that is possibly going to help you a great deal in terms of sharpening your personality, in terms of making yourself more comprehensive as a professional or as an individual. And again, the most important thing is that let go of the whole thought process of trying to compare yourself with others. You don't need to compare yourself with others. All of us have our own journey to make, and we are making journey together with many professionals, relatives, life partners. All of us are kind of doing this together, but end of the day, all of us have our own path. So you got to get along your own path without being in a way bothered as to what someone else is doing. You need to, of course, try to be cohesive, but you got to figure out your own path and do a lot of internalization, and that will definitely help you to focus. That will definitely help you to get it right.
Yes. Yes, Sandeep sir, there is one question from Ankit Thakkar. Hi Sandeep sir, can you provide some guidance on how to manage job and studies both for semi-qualified students such that both can be managed well? And I'll add on with this, like there are a lot of opportunities there for CA, but right now due to pandemic, there are pay cuts, job firing, all these things happening. So overall, what do you think this situation? How should we deal with this situation, and till what time the markets will be fine? So something on that.
Right. So I think I'll kind of look at both of this very quickly. So when I look at in terms of the prospect from a job market perspective, that how are we kind of looking at some of these scenarios? So when we look at the GDP of the country, the India as a country, we and several forecasts suggest that for the year 2021 we're going to degrow, and that's going to be the first time it will happen post independence. So we're going to degrow by close to 4 to 5%. That's the state. That's the kind of a degrowth we will have. But every time, everybody in the same breath is also going to say that we're going to grow by 6%. We're going to be back on growth for the year FY22. So if you look at the next 18 to 24 months, we're going to have a big swing of 10%, 10 to 12% of country GDP. Now, if that were to happen, and India being a $2.5 trillion economy, that means we're going to add 300 to 500 billion dollars of potential kind of growth in our overall GDP over next 18 to 24 months, and it will be a big swing, which is going to happen from one corner to another section, and that, to my mind, is going to create a lot of opportunity. The second is what going to create a lot of opportunities is what this whole work from home has demonstrated, that anything and everything can be done remotely, right? Especially in the services industry. So if anything and everything can be done remotely, and with the pressures around geopolitical risk, what you're saying with what's happening on immigrations on many countries and geographies, but people, the businesses need right kind of talent in terms of growth. Businesses have to cut cost in a way to demonstrate growth or profitability for that matter. And India continues to be a provider of large amount of talent to across the globe, right? And the way we are possibly also going to see that if some amount of government policies to become focused on this whole Atmanirbhar Bharat, and if that were to come through, again, a lot of that FDI investment is going to come into the country. So we're going to have twin advantage, possibly in next 18 to 24 months. There is going to be some shift from China to India, which will result into some prospects across the manufacturing sector. And because of this whole work from home ability or remote working, we're going to see a lot more opportunities into this whole offshoring market or the services market for working and servicing clients across the globe. I think, and these are two, to my mind, are going to be the biggest takeaways, for chartered accountants to be ready for. And the key is that how do you leverage this time to gear yourself for that opportunity, right? So are you kind of upgrading your skills to be acquiring the right set of technologies which you need to know? Are you familiar with emerging technologies? Are you familiar with the sectors in which possibly the India is going to see newer investments? So if I'm going to see investments in electronics, if I'm going to see investments in defense, if I'm going to see investments in infrastructure, so do you have some sort of capabilities across some of these sectors where we're going to see a lot more foreign capital and a lot more domestic activity than what's been happened in the past? And similarly, in terms of engagement with people outside, so you got to be ready. Use this time as opposed to being depressed that I don't have the job. Don't worry if you don't have the job. The whole question is that I started working 20 years ago, and again I'm going to work for another 20 years. So once you start working, it's not going to stop, right? So you will continue to work for 40 years. So don't worry on that. You will have a job, or you can have your own business, right? But you got to be ready for that moment. You got to be ready for that opportunity, and use this time to be ready for that opportunity, as opposed to being depressed or being stressed. Or end of the day, you got to look at, if I don't have a job, what is it you're going to lose, right? If you have a job which is where you're going to make, let's say, 50,000 rupees, you're going to lose, let's say, for 6 months I don't have a job, I'm going to lose 3 lakh rupees, right? That's the loss you're going to have end of the day monetarily. But what is it you can gain in this point of time in a way to be ready to possibly multiply opportunities for you when the situation is going to be right. And it is going to be right in next 18 to 24 months. As I said, I think the whole growth curve is going to change, and this 12% shift in an economic growth environment is going to be a gigantic impact on everything, is what we see. And just talking about very quickly on the balance between studies and workplace, you've got to again find that right balance. Studies are important, right? So you've got to figure out, and what again I've seen that how is going to help you is if you let the clutter, as much as outside of your immediate environment, focus on what you have to do at the workplace, and then focus on studies and let go of everything else, right? You don't need to deal with office gossip, you don't need to deal with the politics, you don't need to get into others affairs. Just kind of focus on what you're supposed to do, and I'm sure you will be able to crack it. And once you crack it, again, you get a higher platform. Just because I'm a chartered accountant doesn't mean that the world is out there for us to have all and everything and anything, right? It's just a platform. This just a platform. You've got to then be on that platform and then build your journey from that platform to for higher path. I think that's how I'd like to look at and share my perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very informative, sir. Such data, like,
and quite encouraging also.
yeah.
Good time to come.
Yes.
And
People need to hear this more. Yeah.
but yeah, one question for you. Can you tell something about how students should be using time better in this pandemic, wherein social media has pushed up a lot? Like, people are using Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatnot, and rather than focusing on
I think
studies, like,
Sandeep ji has answered this already. You have to cut the clutter, cut the crap in your life. I know this social media, actually, when Sandeep ji was saying about, again, stressing on not comparing with others. The social media fuels it, actually. Because then you see some status, some this, and then, oh gosh, this person is so happy, this person is doing so well, and oh my god, mera life dekho yaar. And you don't have to take it everything on face value. Social media, you have to give it limited time, and you have to discipline yourself. There is no other way that, okay, now, band, stop. Because then it creates all this kind of various weird desires and comparisons, and you are getting fooled, actually. I don't think everybody in the world is so happy as they seem like in their Facebook statuses. Ask me when the Art of Living faculty, people come and share a lot of things with us because they confide, this is happening. And then sometimes we are surprised. Oh my God, this person looks so cool and so happy, and my God, he's going through so much turmoil. So when you realize the fakeness of the social media world, you will not get addicted also. You will just take it it's like a trip. You can use it for, see, like this is also happening on social media. So we can make good use of technology.
Yes.
And save your mind from all these comparisons and, oh, that person is doing so well and uske saath ye ho gaya, usne uske saath selfie dal diya. I think teenagers are, so we have to make us aware that झूठी दुनिया है, एक झूठी दुनिया है, उसमें सच का एलिमेंट बहुत कम है. ऑथेंटिक कम्युनिकेशन नहीं होता है सोशल मीडिया. कौन बोलेगा आके कि यार मेरी बैंड बज रही है? उसको तो अच्छा ही स्टेटस डालना है, आज मैंने ये पेस्ट्री बनाया, ये उसमें बनाया, फिर मैंने मेरे मम्मी के साथ मैं चाय पी रहा हूँ, मेरे गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ. अरे इतना खुश है क्या तू सच में? So
right. I'll just add to what Rashmi is saying, that when you look at social media, I think again, what is it you are taking it away? When you are consuming or spending that much time, is there a takeaway for you to spend that much amount of time with that engagement, right? And if you are not, learning by kind of spending that much amount of time, and especially depend upon, again, the life cycle you are in, right? In your own growth journey. So are you a student? Are you a working professional? Or are you now a retired individual? Or so what kind of your own journey in your life you are in? And that is where you got to find that balance as to how much amount of time I want to invest, because time is limited. The key is that time is limited, right? And time will drive success for you, as you move along. And we can easily profile people, right? When you think about somebody okay, this guy is 20 years, this guy has done this education from this place. We can immediately box this guy. Look, this is what this may have achieved, he may have achieved, or he or she may have achieved. Now if this person is 30 years, this is where he has worked, this is what he has done, this is what his education. I can easily box people. Look, this is what you are. Because when you think about it, we boxed, the society, the way it is structured, that we've been able to figure out what is your own standing in that moment, based on what you've done so far, right? And based on what you've done so far means how you have utilized your time, right, all along. So you got to figure that out, that am I utilizing my time, for the right purpose? If you're utilizing your time for the right purpose, you will do well. If you're utilizing your time, because you believe that you're going to have all the time in the world, now that's the key, that you have limited time in this world, right? If I have a limited time and you're not using it for the right purpose, then you either and then you're going to lose out, right? And then you will have the stress, then you will have many other challenges, right? So you've got to make sure that you get the right amount of time on anything and everything you want to do. And but whatever then you do, be ready for that outcome, right? If you want to only invest time on social media, that's what you will get, right? So that's the outcome will be. So you got to be ready for that one. Don't complain about it. Don't get stressed about it, because I'm doing so much social media, I'm not able to do something else, because that's what you decided to do. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll take just last one question here. Uh, there is one question here. Please tell something about Sudarshan Kriya and articleship in Big Four. So I guess it is a two questions there
Okay.
with two people. Yeah. So Rashmi, you start with one and
Yeah,
another one, Sandeep.
please.
Sir. Okay.
Tell us something about Sudarshan Kriya. It is basically a rhythmic breathing technique. So there is a rhythm in everything in the world, in the universe. There's rhythm in nature. Seasons come one after the other. There's a rhythm in the body. The body clock hota hai. You sleep, you get up, you work. Sometimes you travel overnight, or you don't sleep for some reason. Then the rhythm gets upset. And then there is stress. Then the brain also does not function properly. Then you just say that I need to get back. Like even if you go to travel internationally, there is a jet lag period, and it takes 1 or 2 days to again get the rhythm back. So Sudarshan Kriya is basically a rhythmic breathing technique which aligns you with the rhythm of nature, rhythm of your own consciousness. And then once that rhythm is set again, then there is harmony. That is what yoga yuj, the union. So the mind is not scattered, then it becomes more composed, more calm, and you feel very good about it, about life. It's a feeling of well-being, very pleasant, extremely pleasant experience. So that's all. Like इससे ज़्यादा कुछ बोलना नहीं है तो like it's like गुलाब जामुन किसी एलियन को बता रहे हो गुलाब जामुन गोल होता है मीठा होता है रसीला होता है अरे बोलेगा फिर खा ले भाई फिर पता चलेगा क्या है मतलब there's no point describing about it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thanks, Rashman. So quickly to talk about the articleship in Big Four again. I think Big Four in the country, of course, one of the largest employer for chartered accountants, and there is a great amount of opportunity which exists. So what you need to do is there's one challenge often we experience is that most of the Big Four have the policy of taking articleship after you finish graduation, right? That's one kind of challenge, that you can't be doing graduation and doing articleship at the same time. So more often than not, we prefer people who finished graduation and then start their articleship or the journey to a chartered accountants. So that's kind of one thing you need to know. The second is that, let's say you've done your graduation and you on the path of becoming a chartered accountant, you want to start your journey with a large firm. So it's absolutely possible. You have to then apply to all the large firms, and don't. It's not only about Big Four. I mean, there are other good firms as well, whether it is Grant Thornton or BDO. Or several other kind of firms like Lodha and Singhi as well in Calcutta as well, right? So when you look at some of these organizations, is that you need to engage, you need to apply, and also you need to possibly get in touch with your friends and family who may know some of the individuals in these organizations, right? And you will be surprised that a lot of people who work for large firms, right? In India, if you look at all large firms put together, there are more than I would say close to 200,000 people, right? 200,000 professionals working in only large firms. So, and then so you got to sharpen your skills in terms of, as I said, be presentable, improve on your communication skills, get your academics right, and then apply for that. There are limited, of course, the seats available because of the regulations we have in the country, that we can't just take anyone and everyone as chartered as an article, even though we may want to, but there are limitation in terms of number of article one can hire. And in that you got to but apply, you got to have that conviction, and you need to try. If you were to try, apply, and build through your kind of friends and family, network, try and leverage your network. I think that can help you to be out there in front of an interview panel, and then possibility of being selected. So it's fairly objective process. It's fairly objective, and anybody can apply for. There is no restriction that only this or that individual can apply for. Please apply, for you to be. Jigar, you there?
Is there?
Yes. Awesome.
He's losing connection.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess we should now end. So thank you for your time, both Rashmi Bhaiya and Sandeep sir. And it was truly an enlightening journey. Like for the CA professionals also, they must get some kind of clarity. And with Rashmi Bhaiya, some smart input regarding the mind matters and how we can handle our mind and that. So I guess we'll end this here. So thank you very much, Rashmi Bhaiya and Sandeep sir.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Sandeep sir
Thank
and
you.
Jigar. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, Jigar. Thanks a
Okay.
lot. Pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Once again,
Bye-bye.
Happy Independence Day to everyone.
Happy Independence Day. Yeah.
Take care.